Hi everybody, welcome back to the Evermore YouTube channel. It's Chris with your match preview for tonight's game in the EFL Cup last 16. It is the Eddie Howe derby as Newcastle United entertain Bournemouth at St James's Park tonight at 7:45. So we're going to have a little look at how we think we're going to line up, a little bit about how we feel the game is going to go. Real strong chance of getting to a cup final this season. So we're really, really excited to get stuck into this. Just before we do a little bit of housekeeping, if you haven't already, please smash the like and subscribe button. We are currently on 2,166 subscribers. So we're getting so close to that 2,200 mark. Would love you to get us there. All free content and evermore. We have the pop-up videos at match reviews and post-match reviews as well, previews and reviews. Get your teeth right there. And we have the 2 live shows every Monday and Wednesday. What's going on and evermore. All free. We don't charge anybody for this. We just love talking about the club. So come and join us and you won't regret it. So let's get stuck into this. So as we say, it's the Eddie Howe derby. We're back in action after the World Cup. Obviously, some lads are back, some lads aren't back. So let's get stuck straight into the team and how I think we're going to line up. So this is how I think Newcastle United will line up tonight. So I think we will have Nick Pope and Trippier back to play in the friendly, which a lot of us were really surprised at. So obviously, the comeback from England duty, Nick Pope was never used at all. So he had a nice holiday in Qatar, obviously did a bit of training. Trippier played a couple of games and then he was on the bench. He lost his place to Kyle Walker. So both have come back fairly sharp, fairly fit. Got through the friendly against Rayo Vallecano, looked quite good. I think we'll still stick with Jamal Lascelles at the back with Sven Botman and Matty Target at left back. I don't think Byrne will play. I know he's had a bit of an illness recently, so I think maybe they'll just slowly drip feed Byrne back in, but he could quite easily come in there. I might be wrong with this lineup, but let us know what you guys think in the comments below. The midfield 3, I think we'll go for Joe Linton, Longstaff and Willock. I think Shelby looked a bit leggy against Rayo Vallecano. I might be wrong again. Shelby might come in easily at this midfield. We might rest one of the 3 of these for the game against Leicester on Boxing Day. And up front, there is stories that Maxi has got a knock. I think Eddie Howe confirmed that. He said he might be carrying an injury, so he might not make this game. So I think we'll go Jacob Murphy, Miggy Almer on either side with Chris Wood up top. I'm not a huge Chris Wood fan, but this is the kind of game that would expect Chris Wood to play. I think Wilson will make the bench. I think he's back. He's not injured. Eddie Howard said he isn't injured at all. I think they were more concerned about how England were managing his training, obviously with Callum having, particular injury problems. In the past, I think you have to manage his training regime quite well. I don't know if England quite did that, which is maybe why he didn't feature as much as he should have done. But I think this is how we're going to line up. And to be honest with you, I'd be quite disappointed if that side didn't get the win and get us through into our first quarter final since we played Brentford back in the 2021 season. Got beat 1-0 from a De Silva goal. We were absolutely fucking shit under Steve Bruce. So I really hope that Newcastle United, this new Newcastle United, the intense one under Eddie Howe, can get the job done. But let's have a look at some of the team news obviously going into the game. As we said there, we've got a few players going to be rested. I don't think Bruno will play. I don't think Cher will play. They might be on the bench, these guys. Wilson be on the bench. I think Elliot Anderson will be on the bench as well. I'd like to see him get a bit of a cameo and do something. I think depending on what we're doing in the January window, Anderson might go out on loan, but he doesn't take up a squad space. So that's one that's going to have to be looked at and obviously assessed by the club. But looking at the team news in itself, in terms of us and in terms of Bournemouth and the form guide as well, which we'll look at in a minute. So team news, I think the big one is obviously the miss of Alexander Isak. So it's been disappointing for all of us as fans that Isak hasn't been able to feature in these mid-season friendlies. Now, we're going to talk about Isak on Evermore on Wednesday night, so make sure you check that out because we did hear some hot off the press, I say, some information about Isak. We're not ITKs, we don't share things like that because we don't want to set the cat amongst the pigeons just for the crack. But it made me feel less worried about Isak. But it's still frustrating not seeing him play. I'm sure he's frustrated. We just want to see Isak at it full pelt. He looked amazing when he played against Liverpool. He looked good again that Palace game as well. A real goal threat. We don't want to see him on the treatment table. We want to see him on the pitch. Obviously with Wilson, we're always worried about that being a ticking time bomb, really. So it's a shame that Isak isn't there, but hopefully he's going to be managed correctly and we'll see him very, very soon. But yeah, as I said, no Bruno. I think he'll be missing. I think they're going to have a look over at Paul Dummett. Again, Paul Dummett again is missed so much football. We were talking about this. This might be a future podcast topic. Where is it time really for Dummett to either retire or to move on from the club? Great lad and everything, black and white through and through. But I'm not sure, he's really, taking up a good enough squad space, in my opinion. Obviously, Emil Kraft is probably still getting back from his treatment as well. And Joe Linton's a little bit touch and go, but I think, looking at my lineup there, I think Joe will make it. In terms of Bournemouth, I think they've got Kiefer Moore and Chris Mepham. We're obviously over in Qatar. They will be available, but I'm not sure whether they'll feature in this game. Maybe they'll give them a bit of a rest. They've got Lloyd Kelly's back in train as well, who's a good little player. David Brooks isn't quite ready yet as well, so kind of possible lineups for them. I think the biggest threat probably for them would be Tavernier is quite busy in midfield, and Solanke is a goal threat. He's not been as good maybe as he could have been, but I think that Solanke is very much a goal threat. But in terms of how we think this game is going to go, and looking at the form guide as well. So if you look at the form guide, obviously we both won our last 2 EFL Cup games. That's why we are where we are. One win away from a quarter final. But if you look at the overall form guide, so we won the last 6 games, and Bournemouth have lost 4 and won 2. So we are definitely the form team going into this. I don't think Bournemouth would want to play us. We're probably a draw that people don't want to get now, whereas we used to be a soft touch and easy going for a lot of teams in the cup. But we talked about this on What's Going On, me and Mark, last night. When you look at, the teams that are still in the Carabao Cup, you've got to fancy our chances now. You've really got, no disrespect to anybody else, there's 3 teams in the cup still that we would struggle to beat, and that is the 2 Manchester clubs, City and Manchester United, and Liverpool. And one of those is going to go out because Man City are playing Liverpool. So really that leaves 2 teams that I think we would struggle to beat. No disrespect to Leicester. I think we would beat Leicester. I think we'd beat Southampton if they stay in. The rest of them, you've got MK Dons and Blackburn and Forest and Gillingham and all these other teams. Wolves, I think we'd beat all these teams. But the 3 teams I'd be worried about beating would be those 3, and one will definitely go out. So we have to fancy our chances this season to progress in the cup. But as I said, this will be the first cup final that we'll get to. Since I beg your pardon, this quarter final we'll get to since obviously losing against Brentford. We haven't got to a final since 1999. I think we got to an FA Cup semi-final in 2003-04 season when Man United beat us 4-1, I think. It's been such a long time since Newcastle United got past the quarterfinals and into semis of any cup competition. But this Newcastle United just feels different. This Newcastle United feels ready for a cup run. It feels ready to get to a final. This fan base has been starved of a cup for such a long time. If Eddie Howe can deliver a cup for this club, it'll be absolutely phenomenal. But we are going to have to get past, Bournemouth, and Bournemouth will fancy it. They're not having a great Premier League season. The cup's a nice distraction for them. They haven't had loads of their squad involved in the World Cup. We've only had a handful of them. So I think both sides will really throw everything at this to try and get through to the quarterfinals. And then obviously looking at the other teams that are on that, you'd fancy your chances at a shot at Wembley and a chance to lift the cup this season. So let us know what you guys think in the comments below, how you think the game is going to go. We'll hopefully try and pop on with a post-match review as well, depending on if we can actually get to see the game, because some of us are going, some of us aren't. But yeah, let us know what you guys think the result is going to be. I personally think that Newcastle United will win this. I think we'll win this game 2-0. That's my gut feeling on it. But this is Chris signing off for now. So as I mentioned at the start, if you haven't already, smash that subscribe button, like this video, most importantly, help it get around YouTube, let everybody else see our content, hopefully come and join this Evermore army as well. But let's hope we will be celebrating another Newcastle United victory and getting through to the quarterfinals of the Cup. So this is Chris signing off. Let's keep supporting that team of Core United, and we'll catch you later. Cheers.